to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Mans, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
Of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Moran is here. Mr. Rathel's excused. Mr. Mans?
Here.
Mr. Filarski?
Here.
Mr. Hornby?
Here.
Mr. Loftus is excused. Mr. Hale?
here.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hale. Support by Mr. Mans to approve the agenda as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is presentations. Is there any presentations tonight, Janelle?
None this evening?
We'll move on to our next item, which is public comment. Anyone in the public wanting to make a comment? No?
I talked to Janelle earlier today. Just curious about the rec center right here, the tennis center. What is happening? What's the plan? What's the goal? Is there a vision?
It's on our agenda under a discussion item, so we will respond during that discussion item. Okay. We'll move on to our next item, which is the approval of the minutes of the August 18th, 2025 general meeting. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review those. Are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion by Mr. Filarski
Second.
or by Mr. Hornby to approve the minutes of the general meeting on August 18th, 2025. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is our financial report, the approval of the August 2025 financials. We have our financial report in front of us that our revenue is budgeted for the year at $1,587,694. As of today, our year-to-date revenue is $561,024, which is 35% of our budget. Our expenditures are budgeted at the same $1,587,694. And our year-to-date encumbrances and expenditures are $400,640, which equals 25% of our budget. Our capital reserves as of the end of August is $895,709. And our past due rent as of September 5th is $8,063. Janelle, anything you'd like to point out on the financial report?
Just a couple of items is that the revenue and expenditures, looks like there's $160 roughly $1,000 of a profit for the year to date as we stand right now. I guess I would just like to point out that the lease is expiring for 27250 Kitty Hawk at the end of October.
And has that tenant routinely been behind in their rent?
Correct.
And the amount there of 8,000 signifies how much past due in time? Is that a month, 2 months?
Well, it would be 4 months.
4 months.
And so come September, that'll be another $2,500. So then that would be including of the September rent. So now we're looking at $10,000
Okay.
in past due rent. So
Mr. Mans?
So what's the background?
the background of,
Okay. Have you spoken to him?
I've spoken to him many times, and you know, we've gone over again. And so what happens is then he'll kind of catch up and then fall behind, catch up and fall behind. So the background has been for the past 3 years, or I believe 2 years of his lease agreement that we've had, he has been late. It's actually been 3 years.
What does he have
So he has an automotive repair shop. Yep. So, I mean, it's been a continuous, I've been continually chasing this gentleman for payment. And with his lease, expiring soon, and there's been conversations, he's been caught up, but it's been constant delinquency. So I will leave that decision in your hands, but I would like to kind of start looking for other tenants in order to fill that facility is where I would like to move forward with that.
I would agree with that.
And it's just, it's time spent on my end, on the accounting department's end, where we're, we'll receive payment, the checks will bounce, and then, so on and so forth. So that's the history.
Any other comments or questions on the financial report? Mr. Hornby?
Well, I would agree with previous discussion. I mean, with past due balance like that and a history, you should start looking to replace them. I mean, there's no way we would offer a renewal to a tenant like that, correct?
Correct.
Me, the question is, are you going to talk to him to see whether he's going to move out voluntarily, or is he going to hand him money, or just ride it out and be problematic?
Well, I'll have a conversation. I don't expect that he would be problematic, being that he has been a tenant for, I guess, almost 6 years, and he always catches up at the end of the day. I don't think that would be how he would want to have the relationship, so.
Because moving is difficult and takes time, so you don't expect that he'd move out at the end of the lease. You'd think that he would go month to month.
We're probably going to be in a situation where we can go month to month and then have him open up that facility so we can, potentially have other people go in and look at the facility to have a new lease on it.
You know how many square feet it is off the top of your head?
5,000 square
5,000.
feet. And it has a front office, in the front office, which is, I believe, 2 or 3 separate offices in it. And then there is a 14-foot roll-up door on the back of that building, so.
Mr. Filarski?
So how much fixed equipment is in there? I'm trying to picture the building. Is there do they spray cars in there?
No,
Or just
There was
mechanical?
just mechanical. There was a painting booth in it from the previous tenant that was built out in the back, and so yes, he sprayed parts of vehicles. I don't believe that is still happening. I think it's just strictly
No
re-
hoists
re-
or-
repairs. I don't believe there's hoists in there.
Any other comments, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Got a motion by Mr. Mans, support by Mr. Filarski to approve the August 2025 financial report. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Our next item is our action items, which is the approval of the modifications to Groh Zeal LLC lease agreement. And by way of discussion or explanation, this is the lease agreement for our prospective tenant that's going to open a restaurant and some housing units at the airport. And we had a lease that required the tenant to have a down payment of $25,000 to basically tie up the property until the plans, his schedule was to have the architectural plans done and then start construction sometime in '26. And he's asked that, since he's going to be spending money for those architectural plans, that instead of having a escrow amount of $25,000, he has agreed that after December 31st, if he's not moving forward, we own the plans that he's developed. So he'll pay for those plans, but they will become the ownership of the airport authority if he does not proceed with the build out of the site.
Mr. Chair?
No.
I would just like to point out that all other terms to that agreement they remain the same. There was no other additions or deletions to that. That was the only correction or modification to this most recent resolution.
Is there any comments or questions? We have a recommended resolution in front of us that says, based upon the recommendation of the Groh Zeal Airport Commerce Park Manager, the Groh Zeal Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby approves a lease agreement for Groh Zeal LLC.
Bless you.
So,
Motion by Mr. Mans. Is there support?
Second.
Supported by Mr. Filarski. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion by Mr. Mann, supported by Mr. Filarski. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Motion carries. We will move on to our discussion items. Manager's report under discussion items. And our first item is 9251 Groh Road Building Update, which is the tennis center.
So
Janelle.
do we want to, okay, I'll just kind of give a little bit of an update from where we are. And I'd like to, first of all, say thank you to you guys, because I've been here for almost 4 years, and over the past 4 years, you guys have made it very clear, one, the safety operations of the airport and keeping that in mind. And then two, how important it is to be a good neighbor to our local community, right? And as a result, what I've learned is the stewardship between many different recreations authorities, committees, whatever you want to call them, between the Nature and Land Conservancy, the bike path, the Recreation Department, and giving me a perspective of how important it is when you're running an airport and community involvement. You know, participating in Island Fest, having the opportunity to have the trunk or treat, which I'll talk about later, the vintage market, and now opening up community services across the street, like the dog kennel, the U-Haul, and in collaboration and cooperation with the Recreation Department to go through the process of having a land release with the FAA for the soccer fields across the street. So we do have youth soccer fields as a result of that. But I'd like to just point that out and how supportive you guys have been and trained me for, you know, how important that is. And with that being said, you know, when we talk about the Island Athletics facility and having it be an athletic facility for the community to have used, I would go back for as long as you guys have been on the commission, for decades, right? That facility was probably opened up from, I remember, in the early 80s or mid 80s as a facility for athletics to be used. So I know that you know, Island Athletics will be closing at the end of October, and I know that we are exploring options for continuing to have that as an athletic facility at this time. And I think that that's what I would like to say, but I mean, it has been a great facility for that. So I think that's what I would like to say. If anyone else would like to comment.
I think it's worth mentioning that we are talking to someone that is interested in managing that facility. So whether that gets finalized and we have a new operator soon will be determined relatively soon, I think. And if that falls through, we will continue to look for a new operator. And the intent is that as soon as we can get that new operator in, at the conclusion of the current lease, which is the end of October, that best case scenario is there's no interruption, and November 1st we have a new operator and it continues to operate as athletic facility. If there is a little bit of a lull between the end of one lease and the start of another one, we are doing our best to try to get someone in there to operate it seamlessly. So I don't know if anyone else has any.
I did have a comment.
Mr. Howe.
I did have a comment to share there, Ron. I think that it would be good along the way to make sure that the pro forma that is generated is realistic, that what comes in can pay for what necessarily goes out on a reliable basis. And that's related to the demand for the athletic facility. There's competition coming in from Trenton in the near future, and that might have some dynamic on what's possible here. We don't want to get into a situation where we're fighting for rent. If we can avoid it, then we can keep the building maintained from the stream there, and they can make money. I just wanted to get that on the table.
Appreciate your comments.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Filarski.
So, I mean, I just think, for public understanding, it's really important to understand what the cost is to the airport to maintain this facility. So, as Bill is alluding to, it's quite expensive. It's got an obsolete roof that's going to need replacement. And Janelle, if you want to elaborate on some of the costs that we anticipate coming up to keep this building running, and what type of rent we actually have to collect in order to cover these costs. And I think that's the rub. We can't lease this building out. She was very well spoken, and how she was elaborating on how the airport is a good public patron, or I don't know how to say it exactly, but a good neighbor to the community with all the things that we try to do. And if this facility were even close to break even, I'm sure everybody would be happy to keep it going, for all the benefit it provides to the community. But we cannot subsidize a building that's costing us $40,000 a year. I'm just throwing a number out there, when the whole purpose of this whole Commerce Park is to really support the functioning of the airport and keep the airport off of the taxpayers, not be a burden to the taxpayer. So I think we really do have to have a feasibility study and come up with a solution that makes sense. I hope that solution is out there, and I know, as Ron alluded to, we do have interest in it. Maybe there is a way that we can repurpose some of it, make it work and make the economics work. But that's the main thing, is we got to make the economics work, and under the current situation, it's not. It's as much as we'd love to just keep the current status quo going, we just can't do it. So that'd be financially responsible to the airport. So that's just what I wanted to say.
Mr. Mans.
Excuse me. I think I'll speak for myself, but I grew up at that place. I love it. I still play tennis, and that's the last thing we want to see for the community, is this thing to go south. However, as Daryl had said, we have to make sure it's viable. That's our job up here, to make sure that all these buildings, no matter the tennis center, 25, whatever, Kitty Hawk, that they are viable to the community, viable to the airport. And like Daryl, another thing is, if we could break even, that's it. I think that would be a serious plus. And the building needs a lot of TLC, and we thought some of those things were going to be taken care of, and they weren't. So I really think we've been as patient and as forthcoming and turning over every stone we can to make this thing work. And there's nothing more than I want to see it work. And, I'm as disappointed as the next person, especially some of the things that were said in the community, which were untrue, but no biggie. That our mission is to make it viable. Every building in this airport, Commerce Park, viable. And that's no different. And unfortunately, that's a fun building, you know, that we all use, as a lot of these other ones, most of them are private. So, you know, I just wanted to say that, and we will continue to try and continue to improve it and make it a great spot for the community. But right now, it's just been, the economics are not lining up. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Vance.
Okay.
Anything to add?
Nope, very well said. Just that we will continue conversations and see if we can, take Daryl's in your consideration and look at, the feasibility of it and see if we can put something together that makes financial sense moving forward.
Okay, Mr. Hornby.
Same message, maybe different words, agreeing with all these, because we're not the rec department. We don't have funding that they might, or that the township might. We have to generate funding and cash flow. We certainly don't receive it. So, yeah, it's a struggle to be viable. And that's pretty much where it's at, Maybe the community doesn't support it enough while there's interest there to make it viable, or maybe the operator wasn't strong enough to make it viable. But yeah, we'd love to preserve our assets and keep it going, but again, we have a different mission than the rec department. So, my thoughts.
I guess I would just add that historically, this commission has always subsidized the building, at least for a period of time, to help any operator get on their feet. And at some point, that subsidy has to stop, because we do need to have a certain amount of revenue out of that building. And unfortunately, when that subsidy stops, sometimes the owners or the operators are not able to, continue to operate the building without that subsidy. And at some point, we can't allow that to happen financially, so it's time to move on to another operator, and I think that's what's happening right now. So we are, like I said, we are in discussions with someone, and hopefully that'll come to fruition soon, and let's hope that happens. So, with that, we'll move on to our next item.
Public comment?
Sure, if you'd like to comment.
Yeah, I guess I've talked to you earlier today. As a resident, the way these things are aligned, was relatively unknown, I think, for most people. And from a resident's perspective, I look at it as like, what's Groh's vision for the community to have something that serves the community in that way, right? As part of the authority, it has to be self-funding, I understand that. Rec department has villages, they get funding. I mean, is there a plan to get the two to work together so one can, if it's increased or supplement, they can transfer?
We've tried.
Yeah.
We've offered that facility to the rec department, that they could take it over and operate it, but at this point, it's just, there's no interest, so.
I mean, I've been playing there for years. My son met his future wife there in winter tennis. So, a long history there. But the way it is, it's a bit limiting, right? Especially when you mention the competition coming in, right? In the summer, older people die in there because it's 1,000 degrees. In wintertime, they freeze to death. And all the weights, equipment came from a ladies' gym. So for serious guys, it's very limiting. So I think anyone coming in as a new operator is going to face these same dynamics, right? The audience is limited to a degree to some of the physical conditions of the building and their ability to play in those conditions and the limitations of the weight area. So unless someone's going to invest a ton of money, I'm not sure how the revenue stream changes outside of that.
We've discussed all those issues.
More than once?
Yeah.
This great community, and you go to other communities, and it's like they have all these great things, and why don't we? I just pay my property taxes, and I'm like, I see a lot of things in that lineup that don't affect me at all.
I don't think you're hearing arguments on this side of the table.
What's the real vision to have a dynamic, competitive rec center somehow, or just let it kind of founder along until someone just, says enough?
All I can tell you is we're working on it, and we all agree with everything that you've said, so.
We want to keep that. I obviously it's a bit of an albatross with the roof and some other things, but we've known that for years, and, you know, we, as I mentioned earlier, thought some of the right, discounts we'd get, we're gonna go towards some of those things, and it didn't work out that way. I get it. It's hard.
Barely.
Yeah, I know. It's a tough building. It's a tough place to make a buck. But we're trying. We want to keep it, the history, everything.
Yeah, and I think, the challenges, I mean, the numbers we're talking about are huge, so, the roof replacement, probably 500,000, and that's not even talking about ductwork and lighting and everything else. So, I mean, if we could find the right partner, but, I mean, interestingly enough, it's like it costs just as much to tear it down as it does to put a roof on it. And it's, there's no easy answers here, I mean, it'd be nice to, put up, if somebody were interested to use the property to put up a state-of-the-art facility, that'd be wonderful, but.
No grants that I have found. I have been looking for grants for probably almost 2.5 years. The rec department was helping me look for grants for it, and unfortunately, there's, the department, or the, township manager and I have talked about grants for that facility. I mean, we've explored a lot of options from the grant side of things, and there are, some constraints for us with that facility, so.
Is it designated a historic building?
It will be eventually, probably, yeah. I mean, anything over 50 years is technically a historic building, but
It's not designated that
but it's
right now.
not.
No.
I'm not sure if that
It-
means anything, but.
I don't think that that's gonna make a difference,
Okay,
Well, it's exciting to hear that everybody desires it to remain. Because, the rumor, because of absence of knowledge, the rumor is just crazy. Someone's gonna bulldoze, someone's gonna park airplanes in there, it's gonna make 8 people happy. The whole night. It's like,
You're gonna make pilots happy parking an airplane in there?
No, how would we get the door open?
Yeah.
And you can't because it's a wood structure. That's not legal.
Oh, well, then there's that added
Okay.
bonus.
we move on to our next item, which is our trunk and treat, October 21st, 2025. Janelle?
As I kind of mentioned when I was talking about things that we do here, so October 21st, and I had a flyer. I don't know what happened to it. It maybe blew off. But anyways, we're teaming up with the rec department for October 21st once again this year here on the north side of the hangar for a trunk or treat. So please come and join us. Once again, the Vintage Market will be here on December 2nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. November 2 for the Vintage Market, October 21st for the trunk or treat. And I believe, I don't know where the flyer went, but I think it might be at 5 o'clock. But don't quote me on that. And I can just kind of continue on here, Mr. Chair, just
Yep,
if I
go
can go
ahead.
down. But
Yes.
I just would like to say thank you to the Historical Society. If you guys haven't had a chance, whoever's coming in to pay their taxes, you guys might have noticed that there's new displays, cabinets down in Township Hall. So from some of these donations that we've gotten over the past several months, several years since I've been here, we needed a place to store them. So the Historical Society took it upon themselves to bring those, find them, and put them down in the museum. So more to come on that. I know we talked about this last meeting, but just a reminder, I do have the MAP meeting coming up, so I'll be my first meeting with the state and our consultant in October 15th for that. And I did apply for a mural. The DIA was offering murals. I know we talked about this back in March. And the building that was discussed and proposed in the application that I sent over was the small little building out there, the tiny one that no one sees. When you come in between hangar 1 and hangar 2, you know which one I'm talking about now? That's the proposed, so I'll be meeting with them to see if we are going to be accepted or at least can maybe be awarded for that.
Now, is that the same folks that did like the murals in Trenton when you go down West Jefferson and they're on, okay.
It would be the same folks
Yeah.
that did the murals on Macomb Street.
Macomb Street,
Yep, for the DDA. So that's a, ongoing program. And we weren't looked at for 2025 because there was already that people had been selected for 2025. So they rolled us over to 2026. So I'm meeting with them next week to see if we can spruce up that building on the outside. I know this wasn't on the report, but something that happened today, which was a continuation of the fuel farm inspection. So, I mentioned last month that Laura came out, which is this representative, thank you, goodbye, for the state of Michigan and did their inspection, but Sparling Corporation came out and did our fuel filter changes and the calibration that was completed today. So that concludes my report.
Any questions for Janelle? Hearing none, we move on to our next item, which is the subcommittee reports. We have none tonight. Commission members report. Any open business from any of the commission members? No open business from any members, so we'll move on to the chairman's report. I have nothing new to report tonight, so we will open it up to the public comment, and seeing we have no one in the public today, we will move on to a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Mans,
Support.
or by Mr. Hornby to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries.